Obi-Wan lets them all die.
How did my father die?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father.
The most immoral character in the whole of Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You said that. So this is my big thesis, which is that Obi-Wan Kenobi is essentially a radical preacher who's preying on vulnerable teenagers, orphan boy, and it just begins this process of recruitment, by starting to tell him this selective story, and sends him off to join this terrorist cell, which is attacking a government installation.
And your uncle feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic crusade like your father did.
That scene, they're having that fight, and he's just rescued the princess and about to get the Millennium Falcon.
Hearing that thing? You're braver than I thought.
And he suddenly sees that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi are fighting, and what does Obi-Wan Kenobi do? He basically martyrs himself in an act of suicide in front of Luke as the final act of his radicalization.
Yeah.
No! And then we know what happens. I think it's, and that.
I think I'm persuaded by this theory. What? Aunt Beru is pretty ethical, isn't she? Aunt Beru. Well, she's the one who's had to kind of keep this secret and live this life, and she's, she has all that terrible Tupperware crockery in her kitchen as well.
But also, she seems quite calm, doesn't she, about the idea? Of course, Luke's going to go off.
Does she? And she pays a terrible price.
Obi-Wan lets them all die.
Yes, he does.
You hate it.
He lets them all die.
Let's talk about this. Why do you
Just to suit his purpose, doesn't it? Obi-Wan Kenobi does the one thing that you must never do in your moral dealings with other people, which is to use people as means to your own end. There's no difference between what Obi-Wan Kenobi does to Luke and what the Chancellor does to Anakin.
I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi, Anakin.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
The Jedi Council want control of the Republic. They know your power will be too strong to control.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the old Republic.
They're both treating them completely as means to their own ends.
All who gain power are afraid to lose it, even the Jedi.
You must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
If one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic, narrow view of the Jedi.
Learn about the Force, Luke.
They set them on the path that they've decided. They warp and conceal the truth from them and give them half-lies and manipulate them to try and weaponize them and send them out there.
You'd have been killed, too. And the droids would now be in the hands of the Empire.
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi.
I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
Not just to use someone to your own end, but to go about it in such a devious and deceptive and manipulative way. He's the worst man, not just in Star Wars, but in all of fiction. I think he's really dreadful. And Lando is the best.
This is Lando's deal, because I think this is an ethical situation which is not as evil as it's portrayed as.
Aren't you afraid the Empire's going to find out about this little operation? Shut you down? It's always been a danger, but it looms like a shadow over everything we've built here. But things have developed that'll ensure security. I've just made a deal that'll keep the Empire out of here forever.
We would be honored if you would join us.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too.
Now, there's a line from later, which I want you to read.
Lord Vader, what about Leia and the Wookiee?
They must never again leave this city.
That was never a condition of our agreement, nor was giving hand to this bounty hunter.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?
So we've got the situation where he runs a whole city with, what, thousands of people?
Exactly.
The Empire has already turned up before Han Solo. As far as we can tell, the deal is you give them Han Solo and you save the lives of thousands of people. Why is that an unethical choice?
He did completely the right thing. He is the most moral character in the whole of Star Wars. He is incredibly... He's completely done the right thing. He's responsible for all these people. And then, when he also later gets an opportunity to do something even more moral, i.e. join the rebels, he takes that choice too.
Yeah.
He's the living example of the fact that morality and moral choices happen in contexts, sometimes very difficult contexts, you know, and you have to sometimes choose the lesser of two evils. Obi-Wan lets them all die.
That wizard's just a crazy old man.
Welcome to a London Thinks event to explore the religious beliefs and all the ideas in the Star Wars films. Matthew Sweet is a cultural historian and broadcaster. He dabbles with the dark arts as presenter of Free Thinking on Radio 3. Francesca Stavrokopoulou is Professor of Hebrew Bible and Ancient Religion at Exeter University. Andrew Copson is Head of the British Humanist Association. Oh, and I should say I'm Samira Ahmed. Thank you to a wonderful panel, Matthew, Francesca and Andrew. Thank you very much indeed.